o'clock, you're listening to KBBI AM 890, Homer, Alaska. Local presentation of the coffee table is made possible in part by a grant from John and Judy Calhoun and by Pier 1 Theater, presenting live theater weekends in a come-as-you-are warehouse on the Spit. Currently 55 degrees outside our studios here in downtown Homer.
Homer is a commercial fishing port at the end of the Kenai Peninsula in the Gulf of Alaska. Across the Ketchimak Bay from Homer are two native villages, Port Graham and English Bay. The only access to these outlying villages is by airplane or boat.
I guess this was Alexandrovsk, but to the native tongue it's called Nanwalik, the place with a lagoon. And then Captain Cook came in and named this bay in here, which leads into Port Graham, English Bay. It's a subsistence-oriented community where people set their nets out or go fishing down at the river or up to the lakes 4 months out of the year. And for the rest of the year, there's really nothing you can do because it's cold. You just collect wood and live off what you have collected. There's really no kind of economy in a small village. Every bit of the wealth in the village has been spread around so everyone gets some kind of money.
Subsistence natives, commercial fishing, and industry share one thing in common in Alaska: the use of Prince William Sound.
Fetched up hard ground here north of Goose Island, Foy Reef, and evidently leaking some oil.
An oil tanker ran aground today off the nation's northernmost ice-free port, Valdez, Alaska, and the consequences are costly.
Prince William Sound is generally quite a rich area in all marine life, and this is a very important area for migrating birds. The spill happened right on this area here called Bly Reef. The tanker apparently encountered ice coming out of this glacier, and trying to avoid those, they hit this reef. That's the story that we have.
It's much bigger than most people that read the newspapers have any idea. I'd say there's 750 miles or 800 miles of beach between here and where that tanker had the accident, and the oil has went another 1,000 miles on down the coast already. To say that there's more like probably
it was real frustrating to see it just keep coming on and on and on. It took probably 2 days before it really hit me that this was a tremendous spill. This was something that definitely was going to affect us here. And my first thought was to try and be ready, to try and do what I could. I could listen to all the boat traffic over to Valdez. And boy, it was mayhem. I thought they're going to need a lot of boats. I got thinking of all the boats here in Homer and thought I would make a database, basically a description of them. There was up to 1.5 feet of oil on this particular beach. The object was go gather up the dead birds so other animals and birds wouldn't eat them and also die of pollution. For about a week, the agencies tried to decide what to do with these piles of dead birds and quite a few dead otters.
Is that a male or female?
This is a female.
It is, okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. We got a lot of them here, as you can see.
The crew, finally they got tired of it and decided to go ahead and burn it on their own. They recorded it all on movie so that the state would have accurate record of how many were found and burnt.
Exxon blamed calm seas, then high winds, then the state for their slow response to the spill.
People from Seldovia felt that Exxon wasn't out there to do the job, and they decided they'd just go and do it regardless. They designed a bunch of equipment and a bunch of guys in fishing boats and gals too. And over the course of probably 2 months, we managed to clean up over 100,000 gallons of crap off the beaches. And that went on pretty well until we got a directive to stop using implements on the beach. They didn't want the beach disturbed in any way. Couldn't turn over rocks. They took the shovels away. So that they
Who
made
made this directive?
It came from Exxon. Exxon blamed DEC, DEC. There's 4 or 5 agencies involved, and it's kind of a smoke screen is the way we felt about it.
Exxon completely took the place over and hired everyone in town to be laborers. Every boat, available skiff that we had was put on charter. I mean, everything they could think of. I guess it was to soften up the impact of the oil, is what I felt.
When Exxon came, pretty soon they were doing the hiring of boats and all the things that we originally did, and I could see it was just chaos, just like all the other towns.
You have a group of people comprised of the Coast Guard, Exxon, the state of Alaska, and the land manager, who are, for all practical purposes, in agreement with what must be done. And we are trying our very best.
They are in agreement.
Well, then it goes to the majority. We resolve the problems, and we have 0 problems.
I had friends that when the oil spill first hit, they were running barges with skimmers on them out in the Sound, and they were doing what Exxon told them to. And they got 40,000 gallons of oil one day, and Exxon shut them down because they were getting too much oil.
There were restrictions applied on where we could clean up at, how much oil we could take in.
And they said you couldn't clean anymore? Why was that?
They said, I guess they justified that the beaches were clean enough for nature to take over.
All along, it was real hard to find a place to put what we collected. We all felt like it was a way to keep the things slowed down so they didn't have to deal with the toxic waste, but, who could be sure of that?
We're saying that we're quite confident that with the assumptions we have as to weather windows and things of that nature, we in fact will have most of these beaches and these rocks clean by mid-September 1989.
And they really don't want to accept any debris such as sticks or little rocks or pebbles.
Why not?
Well, it's pretty hard to dispose of this toxic waste if we bring too much of it back home. What are you going to do with 10 million barrels of, sand and rock and pebble and stick? Look at this crap here. How long do you figure it'll take for this to go away?
Oh, nature will take care of it in no time.
Shit.
I felt really used by the Exxon people. They weren't telling the local people the real truth. They refused to even listen to years and years and years of accumulated knowledge and use it.
Whoa, the monster's gonna get me. Here we have piles of pom-poms. Try to break that stuff for the camera there, Bob.
It doesn't break.
At DEC or anybody to walk through here, Coast Guard, they wouldn't know if this wasn't grass.
Variable winds at 10 knots, seas at 2 feet, and the outlook is for southwest winds at 10 knots. This is NOAA weather station WXJ24 in Homer, transmitting on a frequency of 162.40 megahertz, and station KEC81 in Seward, transmitting on a frequency of 162.55 megahertz. This station is operated by the National Weather Service.
Now 9:56, time for today's second reading of the Bay bush lines. To my cave dweller, all is going well at the far end of the bay. Will arrive in Homer at 7:20 Saturday night from Skippy. To the overbarrenness of the Barren Islands, come home and stop being Exxon's guinea pig. Please come home. That's from Dano. Greg Christian, your chain is in at the saw shop. That's all the bush lines for this reading. If you need to send a bush line or if you've heard yours and can reach a telephone, give us a call.
Yeah, I guess.
They kept telling us that all the bad things of the oil were benzene or something or the other. They have fancy names for them real long. And they said that has all evaporated. And the next people start getting stomach aches and start puking off the sides of the road. And there was really nothing you can do about it. It just lasted for 12 hours, and that was it. If you notice real closely, it has affected those people who were picking the oil.
As the oil weathers, what's left are components that don't evaporate easily and they don't dissolve easily, and they're quite toxic. They're also quite carcinogenic. You don't want to eat crude oil as it comes out of the pipe, and you don't want to eat it 5 years later if it's sitting on the beach, because it will still contain compounds that are fairly potent carcinogens.
The outer beach at Gore Point had been extensively cleaned for 3 months. It looked clean until you walked on it.
This is Exxon's idea of clean.
The rain and the sun and the surf action has driven it right down in there, and there's still a high volume of oil on this beach.
Anything in the intertidal zone got oil on it. Barnacles and mussels are really susceptible to oil. If they get any at all on them, they usually croak. Out here, there were sea otters, a lot of those. There's only one left at the head of the bay that I know of.
What did you do this summer?
I work beach cleaning. We started out from here, then they started transferring us to camps. I felt real bad about leaving my kids, but I have to do it in order to survive this winter, because Usually I'll put some food away, but this year I don't have anything.
I wonder, like, how was it long time ago when people used to hunt bear and whatever? I don't know. Last year they planned to teach all of us kids how to prepare fish to dry it and stuff like that. But now, since they had this oil spill, they can't do it. And like all these younger kids, when they get older, they'll wonder, why did this happen?
They say they're contaminated, all these little sea creatures, whatever we had. We can't take any of them, like seaweed, snails, or the chickens. And these things were so fresh, and I think it's in our blood. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain.
The crude oil is 9,000 feet below the north coast of Alaska. North Slope drilling provides the United States with nearly 1/4 of its oil supply. Then the oil is piped 800 miles to Prince William Sound.
Good morning, Bob, and thanks for coming down to KBBI this morning and talking with us.
Good morning, Joe, and thanks for the coffee and the coffee table, and glad to be here. It's fun. At the last end of territorial days and very first days of statehood, people were saying, well, we kind of got to support ourselves now. What are we going to do? Maybe the oil industry is a good way to go. When we invited the oil industry in, and that's where I said we made our first bargain. The bargain might have been worth it, but all of a sudden, on March 24th of this year, people began wondering if it was really worth it. I doubt that we will slow down some of the oil development work. What I really doubt is that you'll be able to see any broader effect on energy policy. Alaska has a real wilderness image. It's part of the American myth, and what we did is raped that myth on March 24th.
Oil production was not impaired by the spill, nor did it have much effect on people who need oil. But around Homer, people depend on renewable natural resources, and effects of the spill spread right into their homes.
Yeah, I read you loud and clear. Are you going to be in for very long today?
No, negative.
Well, I'd better run out. I sure need to get Jed up to the doctor.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. We probably won't be here more than a couple hours, I don't suppose.
Okay, I'll be out real shortly. WIC 9655 clear.
981.
Our income has been drastically affected by my not being able to go up salmon fishing, so my husband's going to have to get whatever work he can wherever it is, whether it means separated for 8-10 months or not.
And obviously, people were really angry. And the question is now, what can we do with that anger? Because eventually we will forget the oil spill. But that oil is sticking together a community of people that maybe didn't know they had all that much in common, and now all of a sudden they realize it.
Right in that cove, right in there.
Legal barriers were set up to keep residents off the oily beaches. Homer area volunteers eventually established a cleanup camp in Mars Cove, where they will clean rock after rock until winter storms drive them
Leave
away.
those booms there. You work the next section until the whole beach is clean. Take your booms out, take your little snails, stick them on the rocks, say propagate, let's go for it. And the beach is restored. It's not just been, superficially done.
It's just everywhere underneath there. And this is just one beach, and how many thousands are just like this that we don't know about? I feel sorry for all those other beaches in Prince William Sound that don't have a friend to take care of them, And that's just 2 people for about 3 hours today, But we got out five more gallons of oil, and that's 5 less that Mother Nature has to clean.
This is the only beach with any cleanup effort we've seen since I've been here, and I've been here since July 24th. And I've seen helicopters coming in and landing. That's the Coast Guard.
The Coast Guard comes in here and they shuck off their responsibility. We asked them for a special kind of containment boom so that the seaweed couldn't get underneath our absorbent booms and wash back up on our beaches, because you can see how much waste that generates. They told us to go talk to the DNR. Well, that's what's caused us to get to this point in the first place. Everybody's saying it's not their job, not their responsibility.
I came up here from North Carolina, and we're fighting mobile oil there, trying to keep them from drilling off our coast. And I heard about this, so I came out with them.
What have you learned, Bill?
The biggest thing I can see is that probably that they should not be bringing oil through waters that they cannot clean the beaches. You can see how the beaches are here, It's rugged, it's rough, it's rocky, and there's really no way you can clean this stuff. But they shouldn't give up on it. They should keep trying. I'm hoping to make a little bit of difference in this world. That's all you can do.
Alaska is 1/5 the size of the continental United States. If the same size spill had occurred on the East Coast, it would have oiled the beaches from Massachusetts to North Carolina. Here, smaller spills occur daily.
There's another oil spill in New York Harbor. Today, cleanup began yet again in the Arthur Kill.
The recovery potential in Alaska compared to other places is quite different, and this mainly has to do with cold temperatures in our environment. Cold temperatures affect generation time of each of the species, whether it be crabs or fish. And an example of a shrimp, it takes 3 years or so before they're reproductively capable in Alaska, where it takes a year or so in the Gulf of Mexico.
The Native people are generally quiet, and they really don't, or they're really not trying not to make waves. Soft-spoken people.
According to the federal legislation that we have in now, Exxon can walk out of here any time. I mean, there is no real tight regulations on these big corporations to actually clean up a mess and do it good. We're not asking for any more than what is right. Any more that you'd expect if I made a big slick in here. But we just want them to fix up what they messed up. And that's what we expect of them for drilling and running their tankers around through our fisheries. I think they just have different values in life where they don't understand that it's something that you can't mistreat. You have to appreciate it and you have to take care of it. And that's the privilege of living here.